Welcome to Trojan Recruiting Roundup with Dylan and Scott. I'm Dylan Brashier, and this is Scott Schrader. For this recruiting roundup, we're going to go over some hot topics in recruiting over these last few weeks, so let's dive right into it.
All right, let's
First
go.
up on the agenda, Deuce Robinson committed last week. I want to get your first and foremost, your insight on that.
Well, it's just just to start with, it's a huge get for USC. Obviously, it was for many reasons. Just he was the 14th guy out of 25 visitors that came through for their officials the June 16th to the 19th weekend last summer. It's a position. He's that big receiver. He's obviously, we're talking about him as a tight end because that's how he was rated and that's how he was ranked and how he was evaluated for his potential future position. But he's going to be that big receiver, and you put him on the field at the same time as Jacoby Lane, who's another 6'5" receiver with just ridiculous athleticism and pass catching ability. Those guys now are huge red zone options for the offense. Obviously you're going to have different quarterbacks at the second half of their careers, but with Caleb Williams and somebody like Deuce Robinson, it's the sky's the limit on where that could go. And it's just it was just a huge pickup for USC. It was something that we thought USC was going to get all along, and then you just started hearing about Georgia and a little bit about Texas, and so actually getting him to sign his letter of intent and end up playing for USC, which is hoping he plays football at USC for a lot of people. The baseball thing's still going on, but again, that's the other part of the equation, though. Also, is you've added a baseball player as well, and I think that part of the attraction for Deuce Robinson, if he does end up playing baseball at USC, is the developmental aspect of Stankowitz's program at USC, which this baseball program at USC is going to mirror the football program in a lot of ways, the way that it is going to ascend like this. So anyway, I've rambled on a little bit more than maybe I needed to about Deuce Robinson, but I think Deuce Robinson, I think you're gonna follow this up with maybe a Dylan Raiola question, but I just can't say enough on how big of a deal it was that Lincoln Riley closed on him.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to Deuce Robinson, more about his role on the offense. I think we'll definitely see him in a Kyle Pitts type role, that end zone threat. But more about this year, we have a loaded receiver room and we have two confident tight ends. How do you think he'll fare in that room?
I think there's a role that they with Deuce Robinson they're going to be able to fill immediately. Because he's not going to play tight end. He's going to come in and he's going to play receiver at USC, and that was always the plan. The plan was he was never going to go like he went to Georgia and play that type of role at tight end. So I think you have somebody that you can put on the field at a receiver spot and just complement what else you have going on at the tight end position and the other guys that will be out there, whether it's Mario Williams, whether it's Dorian, or really Zach Branch. You line him up in the slot in the red zone, and good luck. So I think that to know detailed on what the plans are for Deuce. Somebody like Deuce Robinson in Lincoln Riley's offense, I don't know. But even if you wanted to start talking about how Lincoln Riley's used his position, that with like the H-back and the tight ends, you could look at Oklahoma and some of his offenses at Oklahoma with the use of the H-back and the tight end were it's impressive to watch.
Definitely. Lincoln Riley created Mark Andrews, so I hope to see the same thing for Deuce Robinson, just more of that receiver aspect. Then now moving on to Dylan Raiola. He just transferred to Deuce Robinson's old high school, Pinnacle. Could this signing maybe sway Dylan Raiola in our direction?
Oftentimes I don't think that something like this will necessarily sway another guy, especially an elite talent like Dylan Raiola. But there's things that start to add up that help sway, and it might be something that does help a certain program like USC in this case. And I think USC has everything that they would possibly need with or without Deuce Robinson and Lincoln Riley for a quarterback. But yes, I absolutely. I don't know about sway is the word that I would use, but absolutely, it has an impact favorably for USC with Deuce Robinson being at USC.
And then I saw Georgia is now currently in the lead for Dylan Raiola. How do you feel like USC is positioned in that race?
Well, I don't know how we figure out whether Georgia's in the lead for.
Okay, of course.
Hasn't I mean, you look, it's the way it was last year anyway. The last visit he took was was the deciding visit, and he ended up committing to Ohio State. Of course, that was a school that he had visited 7 times, and there was a relationship going on there, and so it actually made sense, and none of us were shocked when he ended up committing to Ohio State. But I don't know whether Georgia's ahead for Dylan Raiola or not. There's been some predictions. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
from some people. Yeah, I know, but those are the same predictions that those same guys made 7 previous predictions as well. So, I mean, why is this last one supposed to be the one? I'm not going to waste my time making a prediction for Dylan Raiola until those official visits are taken. Now, if he decides he's not going to take any official visits and whatnot, then that might change things. But I think right now USC is in just as good a spot as Georgia.
Perfect. And then moving on to Aaron Flowers. He's the number 7 safety in the 2024 class, and he's going to make his commitment on later today when this airs. I saw you gave a crystal ball in USC's favor for Aaron Flowers. Can you elaborate on that and our position?
Yeah, he was just one of those kids from Texas that had interest in USC. The brand USC had kind of remained strong despite the program declining during the final 3 years of Clay Helton's time at USC. But he took a 3-day visit out to Los Angeles and spent 3 days at USC with the coaching staff and on campus and seeing Los Angeles and just kind of getting a vibe for everything that is offered in Los Angeles and at the University of Southern California. And it blew him away. And I had a conversation with him the day after his USC visit, and I mean, there was just no doubt on how strong he was feeling about the school and what it would offer him, not only as a football player but as a person. He pharmaceutical degree. I don't even know pharmacy degree. I don't even know what degree they call that, but what he wants to study is something that USC offers, and USC has one of the top programs in the nation for. But then he's also got these strong relationships with just not only he's got Coach Dante, he's got Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley. So there's multiple people at USC that he's really close with. Same thing is probably going on in other schools as well, like Oregon and Oklahoma. Probably has a longer relationship with some of these other people than he does with USC coaches. But that visit was really impactful. I was just with Aaron. He's just getting hammered by Oregon and Oklahoma. I mean, he took that USC visit, and the thinking, even the OU staff thought that it was USC. So I don't know where things stand right now, but I know that he was just talking about how he was like a nervous wreck right now, and he knows he's going to have to make this decision tomorrow, and he was at a track meet today, and he ran the 4x100 and then ran the 4x400, and he was gonna go home. He was gonna sit down with his family and talk this over. And I do know that he should be having a conversation, probably a lengthy one, with Coach Dante tonight, and we'll see where things stand in the morning. But I will be surprised if he doesn't end up announcing for USC. That said, he is still going to take all of his official visits no matter where he commits to. So I'm not sure this recruitment's over with either way.
No, for sure. So now we'll dive into the West Coast top defensive back prospects in Dakota Fields, Xavier Brown. I want to hear your opinions on them.
Yeah, those are 2 of the top guys in the country, and they're just right in USC's backyard. You have Dakota Fields. I'm not sure where their ranking is. They're both top 150 guys. Both, I think, top 10 prospects in California, if not higher than that. But Dakota Fields from Sarah High School and Xavier Brown from Modern Day, and then Marcellus Williams from St. John Bosco. Right now, those are the top cornerback prospects on the West Coast for USC. You have Dakota Fields, just one of my favorite players for like the last couple of years. He was one of those guys that occasionally they stand out when they're freshmen and sophomores. They really start to come into their own. He's a big-time player. It's probably going to be USC and Oregon battling it out for him till the end. The same might be true for Xavier Brown from Mater Dei, and he's another guy. He might have the highest ceiling of all of the defensive backs that USC is recruiting right now. And then you have Marcellus Williams, whose brother Max plays nickel at USC. I think actually he played safety last year a lot of the time as well. But he's probably, with USC needing guys to come in and step up right away next year, Marcellus Williams will be the most ready to play year one of all the guys USC's recruiting. So those are some guys. And you have Marquise Gallegos, who is probably their top safety prospect. There's really, this is one of those years where USC's in it for a lot of these guys from out of state. In fact, for the spring game, KJ Bolden, 5-star safety from Atlanta, Georgia, will be at the spring game, USC spring game. And you have Aaron Flowers, who we just talked about, will be announcing his school choice tomorrow. But USC really doesn't need to leave the state for cornerbacks specifically this year. So I think they're in it for enough guys to where it's going to be a pretty impressive haul for Coach Dante.
Brandon Davis-Swain, a D lineman from Michigan, just put USC in his top 5. I want to hear your thoughts on him.
Yeah, he just visited USC. He came out, I think it was on a Friday, went over to USC, talked to the coaches. This was last week. Then he decided to stay for Saturday and went to practice, and he was left kind of blown away by what he experienced at USC. And I had asked him at that time if he had planned on coming back for another visit, and he said, "I'm getting ready to book my official visit for USC." And then he came out with his top 5 a day later. So there's I don't remember what his top 5 were. I know USC, Michigan, Colorado. I don't remember all the schools that were in Purdue
and Auburn too.
Remember the 5th school, but Purdue and Auburn. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he had a great visit to Auburn too. I know that. So I don't know where Michigan stands with his recruitment, but yeah, he had a great visit to USC. He has a really strong relationship with Sean Nua, and really, despite USC's defense last year, Sean Nua is one of the best defensive line coaches in the country. So he's going to get his guys, and this year versus last year, he's going to be in it for a lot more guys than he was last year. So and whether Davis-Swain ends up coming to USC or not is something that I don't really know where they stand, how really strong the interest is. But the fact that he talked about it so highly and then wants to book an official visit and put USC in his top 5 is obviously a good sign for USC.
On April 8th, USC is hosting a recruit pool party at the Olympic Swim Center in Los Angeles. I see you have a list of recruits there. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah,
this will be the biggest spring recruiting weekend so far. Obviously, spring's only 2 weeks old, so there haven't been that many weeks. But yeah, they've got some really. I'm gonna have to look at my list because I'm old and I forget stuff. But just on April 8th, there's Andrew Sprague from Kansas City, Missouri, a 6'8", 270-pound offensive tackle. That
Wow.
USC fans can never get enough of those kind of guys.
Oh yeah.
To talk about Isaiah Garcia, a guard from Magna, Utah. He'll be there. Coy Beasley from Cincinnati, Ohio, a 5'11", 180-pound. I believe he's going to be I think he's a receiver, but we have him listed as an athlete, so he could be DB wide receiver. I should probably know more than what I just said, but we can follow up on him at a later date. Obinna on Onwuka, a 6'4", 225-pound edge from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. He will be at USC. Isaiah McMorris, a 4-star athlete from Omaha, Nebraska. Mike Williams, a 6'5", 310-pound offensive tackle from Baltimore, Maryland, will be there. Jordan Seaton, a 6'5", 295-pound guard from St. John's College Prep in Washington, D.C. And Nathaniel Palmer will be taking one of his 2 visits that will be upcoming to USC. This will be his his unofficial visit, and June, I believe, he will be taking an official visit. But he is a 4-star running back from Decatur, Texas. The list is going to be a lot bigger than that, but it's you also have Xavier Jordan, 4-star receiver from Sierra Canyon, is going to be there. Ryan Pelham, a 4-star receiver from Millikan High School in Long Beach, California, will be there. And there's going to be other guys, and we will be putting a list out and publish that for our subscribers and for anybody else that's interested in reading that at a later date. But this will be a big weekend. They're taking them over to the Olympic Swim Stadium, and I think that'll be a fun afternoon for the kids and their parents.
So Deuce Robinson was the last commit for the 2023 recruiting class. I want to hear, one or two guys on each side of the ball, your favorite that can come in, make an immediate impact.
Yeah, well, one of the guys on defense for sure, I think we've actually talked about this a lot on our site, is Tackett Curtis, a linebacker from Manny, Louisiana. He's just everybody on the USC football team, whether they're offensive players or defensive players, have been raving about this guy. And, they can't wait to see him at the spring game. Will kind of be unleash the beast type of a situation. So I think he's going to come in. There's just absolutely no doubt he's going to play significant minutes and get a lot of reps as a true freshman. And he's definitely one of those guys that is going to significantly improve the front seven, which was the big issue at USC last year on defense. And I think there's another guy that I don't know where he is as far as his development. But he's not at USC. His name's Braylon Shelby from Houston, Texas, an edge. He was a borderline 5-star guy for us at On3. We had him ranked higher than everybody else. I think some of the other networks maybe caught up later in the process, but he's another guy to definitely look out for making an impact year one. Now, just to make it clear for people, these are high school players. There are definitely transfers that are going to come in and make an impact. We'll keep it to maybe the next show. We'll talk about the transfers and the impact on those guys. But offensively, you have to start and finish probably with Zach Branch.
Oh yeah.
Good Lord, that's you bring that's. We overuse the word generational player, and we're certainly not going to use that right now before he plays one down at USC, but he's potentially that type of a guy, the guy that we're going to be talking about 25, 35, 45 years from now, about his time at USC, kind of like we do with Reggie Bush. He's just one of the most electrifying players that I've ever seen. And there's every year I always talk about a few. We don't pay to go to events. People are fortunate enough to let the media in for free to these events, whether they're college, pro, or high school games. But Zach Branch is one of those guys that I would have paid to watch play football. So those are the guys right now. There are other guys that have had kind of scored high reviews, and next week we'll talk about some of the transfers because there's some big time impact guys that brought in on both sides of the ball from the transfer portal.
Okay, so that will conclude episode 1 of Trojan Recruiting Roundup with Dylan and Scott. Any last remarks?
Well, we're just looking forward to doing this show on a weekly basis. Just to let people know this is our first episode, and we'll be doing this the plan is to have it out every Friday, and we'll be talking about recruiting. We might sprinkle in some football talk here and there, but this is supposed to be the WeAreSC recruiting show that we'll put out weekly. I'll do some other just off the cuff type stuff, maybe more of my random recruiting rants that we started up. But just wanted to welcome Dylan Brashier. He's one of the fortunate dudes that's at the University of Southern California and working on his journalism degree. Well, it is a journalism degree, or sometimes it's communications. But what is your degree? Give us a little background on what's going on at USC with you, and we'll finish with that.
So I'm a journalism major, and it was originally communications, but changed to journalism, and I want to go into sports broadcasting. So I was a part of ATVN, which is USC's broadcasting show, and then now I'm part of WeAreSC, so I'm happy to be part of it. Right on. Well, I'll tell you what, people that are watching this is when you start to learn how impressive the people are that go to USC, like Dylan. We've had some fun with some of the interns and people that we've worked with from USC and from Annenberg, and it's always impressive. And you guys, you guys are going to carry the torch and be the guys that we're going to be watching on TV and wherever else in the future. So welcome to the team. All right, right on. Well, we'll see y'all next week. See y'all next week. Right on.